so that I don't forget to do. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. The best part is like you can clip the stuff later.
Yes, amazing. Okay, I'm gonna just play this once and we'll make sure that this is working. Whoops, hold on, share screen. Hi, Lana, how are you? Okay, share screen. Okay, you can see that?
Yep.
Amazing. Just okay, good. That seems to be working now. For whatever reason it wasn't working before, that's fine. Stop sharing. Okay, great. All right, we'll give people one more minute, but I can see people are coming in, which is great.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Danielle, also Village Juicery, emailed me this morning and said that they have mailed your gift card. So I will get it to you as soon as I receive it, just so you know. I meant to email you about that today, but now you're here, so I can just tell you. Oh, my guys, so great. Okay. We'll just wait another couple of minutes for people to roll in. We have a bunch of questions to answer from the Instagram poll that I put up, but if anyone has questions at all, just throw them in the chat. Olivia's gonna do most of the talking, so I'll keep an eye on the chat and I'll make sure we answer them towards the end. All right, okay, why don't we can go for it, and if people are coming in late, that is all good. All good. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. Play, but we're gonna go from the beginning. Okay, great. All right, so we are here today to talk all about doula care. So the who, what, when, where, and why. For anyone that I have not had the pleasure of meeting, and so far I've had the pleasure of meeting most people that I see signing in, which is great. But just in case, my name is Dr. Ashlyn Lanigan. I am a naturopathic doctor in Toronto, and I've been practicing for about 8 years now. I've worked with hundreds of women to help support them to get pregnant, to flourish throughout their pregnancies, and to return to their former glory, and then some as mothers. I'm also the founder of Flourish, which is our physical location is a multidisciplinary clinic in the heart of Midtown Toronto. We're right at Yonge and Merton, just across the street from the Davisville subway stop. And we are also an online hub, which should be coming out next week, our online hub for everything that a woman needs to optimize her health and well-being. I live about 5 minutes away from Flourish, our physical location in Midtown Toronto, with my 3-year-old daughter, my 1.5-year-old son, my hubby, and our dog Jack. And we're also welcoming a new baby girl we found out last week. I know, so excited. I didn't care, but I like shrieked when the ultrasound tech told me, and she was like, "Oh, you wanted a girl?" I'm like, "I didn't care," but it's still exciting.
It's still exciting.
It's still exciting. So she'll be joining our tribe in September. So I understand firsthand the delicate balance that is being a working mother. And it is my passion, my mission, my everything to support women to truly flourish. And I really feel that when their physical and mental health, when women's physical and mental health is optimal, they can go on and they can change the world and they can make their impact on the world. And so that is my goal. And I'm so excited. So Dr. Olivia Chuby, I'm going to let her talk all about herself, but I wanted to give you a bit of background about how we know each other. So I have known Olivia probably for 8 years since I started practicing. While Olivia was going through naturopathic college, she worked on the admin team at one of my clinics. So I've known her since she was just a young one, even though she's still so young, which is amazing. And so I've known her for a long time. When she became a naturopath, and she's not a new naturopath, she's been a naturopath now for years. But when she became it, I'm just aging myself by this conversation. But when Olivia became a naturopath and then she became a doula, I was so excited. And so I've been referring my doula patients to Olivia for about 4 years now, and they rave about her. She's an amazing naturopathic doctor as well as an amazing doula. I'll let her talk a little bit about, about her. So you go, Olivia.
Thank you, Ashlyn, for that. Hi, I'm Olivia. And I don't want you to have fear surrounding your birth. That's pretty much why I stand here today and what I do, And I totally understand that's even been on a next level of meaning in these times. And as Dr. Lenigan said, I'm also a naturopathic doctor. I'm a birth doula and a hypnobirthing childhood educator. And I've been attending births and supporting families since 2016. And so the message that I bring and what your downtown doula stands for is that despite everything that has changed, we really want to remind you of something that hasn't. And that's your capability to be strong, resilient, patient, prepared, and supported throughout your pregnancy. You can still have a birth where you feel confident in yourself and your ability to birth, where you feel satisfied with your birth experience and you feel empowered from pregnancy to postpartum. And I feel really, really privileged that so many families have welcomed me into this like amazing, intimate, and momentous part of their life, right? Bringing a child to the world is like insanely important and huge, and it's really such an honor to be part of it. I'm in constant awe of women's ability to grow and birth life, and always surprised actually at how many of my like really powerful, strong clients turn to me after they give birth and they're like, I couldn't have done this without you. And it's like so crazy to think that, because of course you could have, but it's really reaffirming about why my work is really important. And like, I don't know, like kind of, it gives me a purpose, right? And it makes me feel really good about what I do. And that's what we're here to talk about today, and what an ND doula is.
And what Olivia didn't mention is she's also a huge boss. So she started a company called Your Downtown Doula with another naturopathic doula, Sarah, who you'll meet in the next few weeks. And so we partnered together with Flourish. So Olivia and Sarah and Yvonne, who are all naturopathic doctors, they'll all be doing different things at Flourish, which I'm so excited about. So apart from being an amazing naturopathic doula and doctor, she's also an amazing entrepreneur. So we love it.
Yeah, I forget that part.
I just wanted to quickly go over what we're going to do today. So we're going to talk all about what a naturopathic doula is, some benefits to a doula, and we're actually really lucky. There's a lot of research been done on doula care, which is great. And so Olivia's going to go over that, like what the research shows the benefits of a doula are, whether you need a doula or not, how doula care has changed during COVID-19, because it has definitely changed. We're going to answer all of the questions that you guys sent to me from the Instagram poll, and then we'll also answer any of your other questions that you have. And then we have some really awesome bonuses for attending live. I'll send you an invite to join our private Flourish Females Facebook group, which is where we're going to post, and I know I've been a bit negligent the last week, but I'm going to post all of our webinars, answer all your questions, post content that isn't available elsewhere. And also I want to really work to create a community of women. After I had my first baby, I didn't have a lot of mom friends, and I didn't have, not a lot of my friends were kind of at the same stage as me. And I ended up building up that network of women, which was like, it was the most important thing. Someone to ask questions to when your baby won't take a bottle, when your baby won't sleep, all of those things. So this is just the kind of community that I'm trying to create at Flourish Females. So we can all work to uplift each other. You'll also get a recorded copy of the webinar sent to you. And then we're going to talk about the discount codes you're getting at the end. So try to make sure you stay to the end, because they're really amazing. Your Downtown Doula, which is Olivia's company, she's offering a crazy discount code for all of the classes that they offer online. And then we're at Flourish, we're hosting a hypnobirthing class that one of the naturopathic, I'm not sure if Olivia or Yvonne are teaching it, but one of the naturopathic doctors who are certified to teach hypnobirthing will be teaching it probably virtually, but maybe at Flourish. I'm assuming probably virtually, but anyway, so we have a crazy discount code for that too. So make sure you stay at the end so you can get all of those. And we're trying to keep those to people that are attending live. Okay, amazing. So let's get at it.
Yeah, perfect. So what is a doula in the first place? So the best way to describe it is a doula is your family's best ally, support during pregnancy, throughout childbirth, and in the postpartum. We're professionals trained in childbirth, and we provide physical support, emotional support, education to families on their birth journey. So our purpose, like what the doula people would say, is our purpose is to help women have safe, memorable, and empowering birth experiences. And I really stress that because the opposite of that is traumatic. And if we think about it, the births that most people have seen are on ER dramas, right? So a lot of people think that that's what birth is actually like, and they carry a lot of anxiety around that. And so a lot of what I do is I often educate what a normal birth can actually look like, as well as doing a lot of anxiety stuff like Dr. Lanigan said, the hypnobirthing. So that's like the official stuff, and quite often in the literature you'll see the term mother's the mother. So that's kind of just explaining the nurturing role that doulas have, and just kind of the calming presence. But the word literally, like doula, literally translates to a woman's servant. So we're literally there to serve your every need, which I think is absolutely number one of importance while you're giving birth. And that's also why I like to use the word cheerleader, because it's like, the example is like, there's people in football who literally just kick a ball around, and there's people cheering them, right? They're saying like, you're amazing, you can do this, no matter what, you've got this. And it's like, don't you think we need that in birth? I think so, because you're doing an incredible feat, right? This is something like incredible, and you need to know how strong you are and be reminded how strong you are. And so I like to use that example a lot. Your rock. So that's something actually that's really great feedback I had from one of my families. They said the best thing about having a doula was that I got to be like the holder of the burdens. I got to be like, so they're like, because you were there, I felt like I could put my emotional stress on you. We could put everything on you, and you were just calm and collected, and we could feel at ease because you were there being our rock. And I was like, oh, I love that. So that's often how I talk about my support as well. And of course, advocate, because that's what we do. If there's something you want, or a certain way you want to experience your birth, or if you have any fears, or just even more questions, we're really there to help bring the healthcare team and you to understanding. That's kind of, advocate is very important. We kind of teach you how to advocate. It may or may not matter as much to you, but it's something we definitely do as well. And so for the next slide, I'm going to talk about the research that has come into doulas. So doulas have been actually studied in literature. So there's what's called reviews. They put a whole bunch of different studies together, and they kind of like look at the overall research. And so there's actually a really huge amount of positive research. So if you have a doula, you're more likely to use less pain medication. So you could say like your pain tolerance becomes higher, or you're better able to manage your pain. So there's less use of epidurals. Because of that, there's also fewer C-sections, emergency C-sections. For some reason, there's also less use of Pitocin. So more clients who are with doulas are more likely to go into labor spontaneously. They have shorter labors, and that's partially because doulas understand, like, we know how to guide you to standing in different positions to actually help decrease the time, because there's been studies showing which positions help you have shorter labors and things like that. We've also, the support of having a doula means you're less likely to have interventions in your birth. So an intervention means just basically anything that isn't letting you do your thing. But this in particular, it's like forceps and vacuums. So that's just at the very final stage, if they need your help bringing your baby out sooner or faster. So there's less use of that. You're more likely to have a vaginal birth. And the best part, and I know it sounds silly that this is the best part, but it actually is that you're more satisfied with your birth. And that's the takeaway. And all studies across the board show if we want to decrease depression postpartum or a traumatic experience in birth, it's actually satisfaction of the birth, being able to feel like you are empowered, that you've like been part of the decision-making process, if your needs were heard, that you were able to move freely. All of these things equal a satisfied birth, and that is like what we want, right? We need mothers to flourish, right? So that's why we need people helping you to do that. And what was really interesting is that even in all these studies, they specifically said it had to be, a doula has to be someone that is not in your personal circle. And I thought that was weird. At first, when I read it, I was like, oh, it's so interesting that they noted that. But the more and more I've done this work, I totally understand why. And it's just because like you need to know the person, right? It's like, it's nicer because it's not just like a random OB that meets you. It's someone who's been working with you the whole time, but it's also someone who you don't have like baggage with as well. And it's someone who you see is really, really there for you. And it's also someone who you can tell to leave. So there's a lot of power when it's someone who's not your family, because like
it's also like an objective opinion about things. Like that's like when it's your mom or it's your sister, they're not objective. They're always so it's that's I think is like an amazing thing about a doula is they're like a third party that can give you like solid advice. That's not just going to maybe see if they see discomfort in you, like yes, you should get an epidural, you should do all these things. They're gonna be more objective.
Totally. Yeah, I have a perfect example of that. Like I was working with a couple, and I think their water released, and they texted their parents, and the parents were like, go to the hospital right away. But they hadn't even had any contractions yet. And so then they were contacting me, and I'm like, no, there's still time. And there was so much time. We were able to go back to sleep, have dinner, like do so many things before we actually needed to make our way to the hospital. And that's something they wouldn't have known if they just relied on their parents' advice. And so they actually had a pretty chill Shangri-La pre-labor hangout instead of this like rushed and panicked state and just hanging out in the hospital doing nothing for a long time. Yeah. So that's definitely, and that kind of brings us like to the other benefit is that it takes the pressure off the partner, because we want our partner, and I always joke, like, doulas are what you wish your partner would do, okay? We want our partners to be there and to be part of the moment. But the thing is, they're not trained to be there. It is for most of your partners, they're experts in other things, business, banking, contractor work, who knows? Being a nurturing birth support person is totally new stuff for them. Doesn't mean they don't love you. It doesn't mean they don't want to be there for you, but often things don't go exactly right. But what's really important, and I think a lot of people forget about this, is it's actually really important for the partner to get sleep. Because when you guys transition into the postpartum, sleep becomes such a necessity. And I say it's nice to have one person who's more well rested, right? And so well, hopefully most of the birth you will be sleeping if you're doing hypnobirthing, but it gives an opportunity in early labor for the partner to sleep guilt-free because you have support otherwise. It also helps the partners be present more emotionally, because when we're doing, like, for example, physical support on, like in the image you see, right? I can work on the acupressure points or do a double hip squeeze on the back, while the partner can hold you and be with you and connect you and say reaffirming words to you. So often I work as a tag team with the dads. It also allows for them to be able to go to the washroom, take some breaks, and eat, because obviously they're so worried they don't want to leave your side. But they're also human and need to take those breaks. So it allows them to do that and makes it more easier to support you as well, because then they can bring you food, they can bring you water, and all those things that you're going to need during the labor. And I just found in general, like I had a couple that I worked with, and they did hypnobirthing with me, and then they did the doula support as well. And while we were working together, the husband like said to me, he's like, I know we went over so much information and technically I know everything, because I'm so glad you're here, because I feel like as soon as she had her first contraction, everything just like went out the window. And now that you're here, I feel like better and I feel more confident in what I'm doing. And like, again, that was just really reassuring, because I know they want to be there and they want to help you and they want to do everything, but they also need support in doing that too, because it's just as new and scary for them too. And so having a doula there makes them feel more calm and confident in how they can support you. And so that's what I also really like about working with families. I think it's just like the best to see couples connect so lovingly. It's like such a guilty pleasure of mine.
And I would say my husband would like a million times agree with this slide. Like in both of our, I had a doula at both of my births. I'm gonna definitely have one this time as well too. And like what Olivia's doing there, that hip squeeze, that is how I had a natural birth. If it was not for that hip squeeze, that my doula was doing it originally, and then she got tired, so she taught Jake to do it. So he was doing it and she was pushing on my tailbone. And it's just so amazing to have two people there, and then your doula kind of can lead your husband in a very gentle, or partner in a very gentle way, to support you like optimally. So it's totally, yeah, that my husband would like he wants, I obviously am going to have a doula again, but like he would insist on it if I was waffling.
Yeah, it's one of those things that they don't know they need it until they have it. And then like actually the dads become my biggest referral source, which is awesome, because they're really excited to have someone else on their team too.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I have a question thing in the middle of my screen right now. I just want to make sure that's not blocking slides. It's not, is it? No, you can't see the question bubble. I have it. Okay, perfect. Amazing. I see your question. We'll add it at the end. Okay, awesome. Oh, hold on. I have to just, sorry. There we go. Okay, good. Go.
Great. And I love this quote, because if a doula was a drug or were a drug, it would be unethical not to use it. And I think that's very true, right? Just like anyone, support is needed, and if it's there, why not, right? But part of what's different, so I'm a naturopathic doctor who does doula work, right? And so I do bring a little bit more actually to the plate because of that, which is really exciting for me and my clients. Part of that is just the high caliber education that both Dr. Lanigan and I have. So doula is actually an unregulated term. So virtually anyone can be a doula. It is a course, of course, that you have to take, and you have to do CE, but it's like the equivalent of like a weekend to week course, depending on what you take. But for us, it was a continuing education course on top of our 4-year medical degree. So we also have training in obstetrics, in maternal newborn care from a medical perspective. So often what I find my clients also like is I'm able to kind of read and call the situation before things happen. So while I'm in the room and I'm observing what's going on, I say like, I feel like the nurse is going to come in and have this conversation with you in a couple minutes. So I just want you to prepare, because this is where I think the birth is going. And usually 10 minutes later, they walk in and that's it. But my clients are like, okay, I'm already in that mindset. It's not a surprise. It's not a shock. I'm able to talk with the staff in an educated way, like the nurses and the doctors, and they feel a little bit more comfortable as well, because I'm not just some granola person trying to push, a natural birth at all costs. Like I really understand the safety components and the different things that could be happening and why. And so I bring a lot more medical knowledge to the table than your average doula. But on top of that, I can help throughout the whole pregnancy and bring other tools in. So we're trained in acupuncture and herbal medicine and nutraceuticals or supplements. We can do a ton of other support and guidance. So a lot of, like, if you ever have a question, like, what can I do for morning sickness or whatever, you can actually ask me and I actually have an answer for you. Whereas doulas, technically they should be referring out. So you're actually getting like the benefit of like 5 people in one, which is really helpful for continuing care. Because I think what I hear often is there's not like your OB sees you for 5 minutes or a 3-minute phone call now or things, and you don't get the ability to ask a lot of questions or get a lot of support. They just say, oh, swelling's normal or this is normal, whereas you get that with an ND. And the benefit, of course, is I do get covered by insurance. So if you do have private insurance, we do use that to help cover our doula care as well.
And Olivia, you can put it in mom, baby, and partner's name, right? For benefits? Yeah.
Yeah, the stipulation there is like everyone has to be there. So I can't obviously claim for your baby before they're born. But for example, if mom and dad attend a visit, I can claim it under mom or dad, depending on how you guys want to do that. And when baby's born, of course, postpartum's under baby. So it helps, it just helps out because we all know baby bringing new people in the world is very expensive. So it's definitely a help.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so the next thing like a lot of people ask me, like, who actually benefits? How do you know you would be the person that can work well with a doula or things like that? So I've kind of found a few personality types or people that really seem to benefit. The first one is someone who really likes to do their research and be informed, right? So like if you're someone who, like every time you're going to buy someone, you look at all the ratings, you look at all the reviews, you research 5 different types of things before you make an investment, right? So that really tells me you like to be informed. The decision-making process, you want to be confident that you made the right decision. So, and having the freedom to kind of choose what you need to choose. So that kind of person is someone who a doula can really help, because every time you have a question or want to know about or be educated about birth, a doula can help that part, right? So I find like people who just like have a lot of questions and are kind of people who like to study for, like, who, if you remember, if you're someone who like, I liked writing tests and studying for them and writing all my notes and like doing planners and organization, like those people, yeah, I work really, really, really well with them. We do color coding on like when I explain my stuff. So I found they've really benefited from my support. Another type of client who likes to work with doulas is like, I've had a lot of clients that are like really instinctual, like they do a lot of yoga, they trust their bodies, and they really want like a natural birth, and they know they can do it. They just want someone there to be like that person.
Olivia, you're cutting out. Can you hear me?
Oh no. Yeah, I can hear you. Do I need more light maybe? I feel like. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, you're back.
Okay.
Sort of.
Olivia? Sorry. Yeah. Oh, Daniela says she can hear me fine. Okay. I'm going to keep talking. So I've had a couple of clients. There we go. Oh no, Ashlyn left. Well, I'll keep talking. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. So I've had clients that are like super confident in their bodies and their instincts, and they just want someone there because they realize their partner is maybe not as comfortable and doesn't understand the birthing process and is more medical. So sometimes you see some splits of some, the mom wants to be at home, but the partner wants to be in the hospital, and kind of navigating that. And so they really feel like they want someone else in their corner, and teaching their partner about birth and making their partner feel comfortable and how that birth is a normal process, but also feel more confident because of my extra medical training. They know they can trust me in saying like, oh, we can stay home or go a little bit longer.
Sorry.
Hey.
My internet, I don't know. I was so sorry about that. Okay.
No worries.
Just bringing it back. It's now, I have doing it from my phone, so hopefully this should be fine. Okay, cool. Sorry, carry on.
No problem. So yeah, so I've had a couple of cases where that's been helpful, like to those moms, and most of those moms who were like fit in that group, they got what they wanted at the end, and that's like really great. Another type of family that could really benefit is just, and we talked about the partners before, but I've had a lot of dads actually reach out and be really supportive of doula care, and that's what they really wanted, because like I'm thinking of one couple specifically, you actually referred them to me, Ashlyn. The dad was like, I want to do everything in my power for my wife to have the best birth she can have, but I don't know anything about it. So I need someone to help me help her. And I was like, perfect. So and it worked out great. But like so if you have a partner who really, really wants to support you, but maybe they're afraid of blood, hospitals are not their scene. They are really loving, but they like don't know what to say to you, or like they don't know how to like do a slow massage, or every time they give you like a massage, it actually hurts instead of like feels good. So like the really well-intentioned partner who wants to be there for you, but doesn't really quite know how, that's someone who can really benefit from having a doula support. And also I find another group of people who really want doulas are those who are unsure about the medical system. So they're like, I really like to do things naturally. I don't know how comfortable I feel with the medical system. And so they like having like a naturopath be their doula, because like we kind of border both sides. We really understand both sides, and we can really guide you like at what's safe or what's not safe, and reassure you and navigate also the questions for you to ask, for you to like feel more at ease and have them answered. So basically, like it pretty much sounds like I'm talking about everyone. So, and it is kind of how I feel like anyone can use a doula, because I mean, that's what we're here. Like, let us bear your rocks, let us carry your burdens, let us help you ease your pain and discomfort through the birth process, and let us be there to help you in any way you need, any way we can during your birth. Like, that's really what we're there for. And so that's kind of, if you ask me who could benefit, that's like pretty much everyone, I would really say. But I definitely get a lot of questions on like, do I need a doula if I have a midwife? And so I'm gonna go through some of these misconceptions. So do I need a doula if I have a midwife? I'm gonna answer, if you still want if you're still looking for support, hands-on support at all times, I would say yes. So midwives only come to support your labor when you're in what's called active labor. So that's when baby's coming like soon, basically. Your midwife is someone who's there to take care of the well-being of the baby and like basically the medical side. So they're checking baby's fetal heart rate, they're checking your blood pressure, your temperature, and they have a lot of administrative work to take care of. So they're really great at stepping back and giving you space to birth naturally, but they're not generally people who are doing hands-on acupressure support or affirmations. They're often actually still writing stuff down and looking at their watch. So they're absolutely wonderful, and I would still tell you to have a midwife over an OB if it's possible for you and if that works for you, because they're definitely really great to work with and offer a lot of postpartum care in a way that an OB may not be able to provide. But the midwife is not the same type of support a doula has. And the perfect example of this is a doula shows up when you want them to, not just when it's active labor. So I've had cases where like I'll be with clients for 24 hours straight, I've even gone up to 36 hours. And because sometimes birth doesn't go as planned, or it goes longer and you need support longer. And we've had cases where the midwife comes and they're like, well, you're only 2 centimeters. I'll come back in like 6 hours, 8 hours or whatever. And they go, right? And then it's back to you and your partner. And I was in that case and I was there, and I still, of course, stayed because they needed me. They needed someone to help cope because they still had a while to go. And the couple I'm thinking of, her partner turned to me and she was like, I'm so glad you stayed. Like, I don't know what I would have done if you left, right? Because the midwife isn't there to support you in early labor. They're only there for active labor.
And it's
Um,
the same with OBs. Like if you go to the hospital too early, so if you're not at 4 centimeters, you're not in active labor, they'll either
mhm.
tell you to go home or they'll tell you to walk around the hospital for 2 hours and come back. Right now, they'll tell you to go home. But so yeah, so midwives and they're totally different, midwives and doulas.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just as Ashton said. Do I need a doula if I'm having a hospital birth and want an epidural? So of course, when you have an epidural, my physical job takes a little bit of a break, but I would still say you need a doula because just as Ashlyn said, if you will only be accepted into the hospital if you're in active labor. So you can actually only get an epidural when you're in active labor. So if you need physical support prior to that stay at home, that's the only way you're going to get that is through a doula support, right? So you might not have access to an epidural. I also say an epidural is an excellent tool, but it's an excellent tool when used at the right time, because there is some evidence to suggest epidurals actually slow down births. I don't think it's the actual epidural itself. We know through research that actually being more upright, so standing up, walking, does shorten labor. So if you have an epidural very early on in your labor, so maybe when you're only 3 or 4 centimeters dilated, and you're lying down for a lot of it, it may extend the time that you're in labor. And then sometimes the more you're in labor and you're not in an upright position, it may leave baby being very high because baby also has to come down in the pelvis to be born. And so sometimes I've seen some of these situations end up with more cesarean sections. So an epidural is excellent, but I try to encourage clients if they can to wait till they're in strong active labor and get it around the 5-6 centimeter mark. And if they can wait till 7, that's even better. But have it, but see if we can get to that mark because it's going to end up to have a better birth experience and you still get the pain management of an epidural. And so I can also help, a doula can help you get to that point. And then you can always discuss what you want to do with your doula. Of course, usually I stay until after baby's born for about an hour to 3 hours later to make sure the latch is okay, that everyone's coping well after birth. But if you feel like you want to send your doula home, that's between you and your doula. And that's the best thing about it's all customized to what you want. And the other thing misconception I want to talk about is if you're having a planned C-section. So for either health reasons, personal reasons, or whatever reason, you might want to have a planned C-section. You can still have a doula, and I would still have one on backup in case you end up going into labor prior to your planned cesarean. So there's someone there to support you and knows what you would want until you're able to get one. But also there's different types of doulas. So a lot of the doula information that I'm giving you is about a birth doula specifically, so someone who attends your birth. There's also pregnancy doulas, so people who just are on-call support if you have any questions about pregnancy. But there's also postpartum doulas. So postpartum doulas are those who come and help you, especially if you don't have grandparents or someone who's able to come to your house and help you. That's what a postpartum doula does. They come to your house, they help with meal prep, meal planning, baby wearing. They'll help you with, if you're bottle feeding, they'll help with that. So that's what a postpartum doula does. So if you're having a planned C-section, you can kind of negotiate a coverage that would work for you. Often I go to planned C-sections anyways, especially if clients are anxious and I'm there before, and I just wait in the waiting room and I'm there after, and then we still go through everything as it were. And I have been, if your partner is very uncomfortable with surgery, you also can have your doula stand in as your +1. So that's also an option. Yeah, haven't been lucky enough to do that yet, but that's also good.
And the postpartum, having someone there that's like specifically helping you with breastfeeding, like that initial latch is so key. And I have talked to women, especially when they didn't have a doula for their first baby and breastfeeding was a total nightmare because they didn't have that support.
Yeah.
Nurses are unbelievably amazing, as are midwives. But the thing is with nurses is they're not just taking care of you, they're taking care of multiple other patients in the maternity ward. And your midwife has a ton of paperwork to do, particularly if it's a hospital birth, or home birth or birth center. So they need to be doing that. So they don't have the time to literally just like work on that optimal latch. So I would totally agree. You need a doula with a C-section and for sure with an epidural. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also why I partnered with Sarah. So Sarah, from your downtown doula, she's a naturopathic doctor, but she's also a lactation consultant. So every time you work with anyone on our team, you basically get access to all our expertise. So she comes to all my clients' births. So I have like definitely training in it, but I don't have advanced training like she does. So as soon as I see, like, I'm able to assess if latch is great within the, like, right after, basically. And if it is, you know, we don't need to rush to call Sarah and she comes in the postpartum, no problem. But if I notice it's already not going well, I get Sarah to come to the hospital to really make sure that, like, from the very first step, things are on the right track. And, like, it's just, at the end of the day, why you need a doula is because what this quote says, whenever and however you tend to give birth, your experience is going to impact you, right, for the rest of your life. And it's about having a good experience. And 1 in 3, 1 in 4 women, you know, we have unfortunately only US stats, but they say that their birth was traumatic, right? That's huge. You know, it's one thing to say your birth was hard or even just painful or difficult, but to say it's traumatic, that is not a word I want to associate with birth, right? It should be memorable in the best way. And so that's what's really important to have a doula, because they really want that for you as well. So how do you go about doing, like, what's the process of getting a doula? So all doulas, naturopathic doulas or not, we all have discovery calls because it's really important that you feel comfortable with your doula, right? We're going to be with you throughout your birth and intimate moments. So you have to like them. You have to get along. So you can definitely shop around, call around, see who you like. The standard way we normally work with people is we do 2 prenatal visits where we go over like what a normal birth looks like, what you want for your birth, what your plans are. We have what's called on-call. So from 38 weeks onward to when you give birth, you have access to us 24/7 email, text, call support. So if you have a question, I'm not sure if I'm in labor, you can call us. We'll answer at any time. We obviously attend your birth, and then we do a postpartum visit as well. So that's what a normal process looks like to work with a doula. What we're doing during COVID right now is because we can't, so with the process right now, we can't actually attend hospital in person. So we're doing a lot of support digitally, and it actually has translated, which is really exciting. So we've had a few clients that we've supported via video conferencing or a telephone. So right now we're doing 2 digital visits, so prenatal visits, and we're teaching you, and we're doing a lot of focus on how the partner can support you physically, but again, going over the same information that we would normally. Now we're offering on-call periods from 37 weeks until 2 weeks postpartum, 24/7 the whole time. And if you want to call us and engage us in the birth as well, absolutely. And then we're doing a postpartum breastfeeding on call. So Sarah you get a free discovery call with her, and then you're on call with her from when baby's born till 4 weeks postpartum as well. So you have access to experts that you need, like, at the drop of a dime. So you don't have to worry about like reaching out, sending an email, we're there for you. And then included in all this, so if you sign up for a doula package with us, you get a free access to actually all of our courses. So if you're a doula client, you actually get all our classes, which is really exciting and what we like offering. And so part of our doula class as well is training, like it's called Prepared Partners. It's actually teaching partners how to basically be a doula. So that's kind of what we're doing right now in the short term, because we can't physically support you yet. I do know that there's a lot of doula groups. There's big letters going out to hospitals to extend support. So because it falls into essential service, we're really we think we're essential. So we're really hoping to get that change soon. So I'll keep you guys all updated.
And just in case there's any like single mamas out there, doula can be your support person. So I have a mother who's I think she's like 37 weeks right now, so she's gonna give birth during this pandemic, and she is single and she has a doula, and her doula is gonna be attending her birth. So you still get one support person. Most people are probably choosing their partner, hopefully for the sake of your relationship, but if that's not the case, your doula can count as that.
Absolutely. And I know our team is already looking into getting PPE. So as soon as we have permission for our college to do in-person visits, that we can right away.
Awesome.
So that's something that we're really hoping for as well.
Great. And I was talking to another patient who their doula was available like on FaceTime for the entire birth, she said. So, so there's like, just because doula can't physically be there, they can still give you all the advice, they can advocate, they can like suggest things to the partner when the partner's freaking out and doesn't know how to support. So yeah,
absolutely. There's a lot that can still be done. It just hasn't been done before, but it doesn't mean it can't be. Like, we've had 2 clients already that we've supported virtually, and both of them thought it was still great. They felt like they loved the process. They were so happy we were there for them, and so I expect that's just going to continue.
Yeah, amazing. Like, hopefully we'll be back to normal at some point. But yes, we're all just pivoting. Awesome. Can I go ahead and can we start answering questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are some questions that, and I'm going to let Olivia take the reins here. These are just some questions that came to us. I know a couple people popped questions in the chat, so we'll just do those ones after as well too. So someone's question was the best way to naturally combat, and actually I should do one caveat before. A lot of these questions we can apply like, okay, this is generally how we would approach this, but how naturopathic medicine works is it is a functional medicine. So it's geared towards the individual. So what we might recommend for one person, we might recommend something totally different for another person based on maybe what's causing their problem or them as an individual. So we'll send out an email after this with an opportunity to book a discovery call, which is a free 15-minute thing where you can ask a specific question, share a bit about your background. So I would definitely encourage you to do this if you asked one of these questions, particularly if you're like, I tried that, didn't work, looking for other resources, book the discovery call. But okay, so first question, best way to naturally combat morning sickness?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of success with clients with B6. So B6 is actually what's in diclectin, which is what they commonly use, just without the food coloring and all the nasty additives. So usually, like I'd say 90% of the time, B6 and upping the dosage. We can't legally give dosages, so just give a quick discovery call to Ashlyn if you want to know the specific dosages. Yeah, or me, yeah, of course, sorry. So B6, ginger, so ginger tea or ginger chewies has been helpful for a lot. And also I just say like making your meals smaller, but increasing your protein. So usually you might not want to look at chicken, but if you do more beef or just even protein shakes, I just find protein shakes, smaller meals tends to work. And then if usually my go-tos, which are usually just those 4, protein, B6, and ginger, and smaller meals don't work, acupuncture, I usually refer to acupuncture.
And we're still doing acupuncture right now. I actually did 2 virtual acupuncture sessions today with patients. So we're just either mailing or delivering either acupuncture ear seeds or acupuncture tacks before your appointment. And then we would do an assessment during virtually to see what points we should use. But yeah, so we have been using that a ton.
Yeah, no, that's genius. That works out. The next question I see is, do you still need a doula if you know for sure you want an epidural? So we kind of answered that already. I would say yes, because you want an epidural at the right time, and or if you want support before you get your epidural, because there's only a certain point you can get it. So I would say yes, you still need a doula. Oh, I love this. Do you find dads feel like doulas are doing their jobs? No. I think we might have gotten, since we already talked about this a lot, dads love the fact that they can share the job, and we don't take away, we actually are able to give you and your partner ability to really connect, because you're more comforted. You know what I mean? Like, if you're more at ease and more comfortable, you can actually be nice to each other and cherish the moment, versus if you're very uncomfortable and in pain, you're not taking it out on each other. That's kind of how I see it change. Yeah, Ashlyn, did you like, you, like, your husband didn't feel like your doula was doing his job, did he?
No, not at all. I don't think he really understood, even though at that time I was also practicing as a doula. I don't think he really understood the value before.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, 100% no. Like I would be very uncomfortable if he left to go get a sandwich or whatever in the middle of labor, and then I was by myself and something happened. So it's so wonderful to have somebody else there with you, and also someone to like guide them, because ultimately partners want to help and they want to support and they want to do whatever they can, but they just don't know what to do. And so a doula can be so helpful. And I also think just having like two sets of hands for hands-on stuff is so awesome. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely.
at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I've like that. I think I had a picture, because I, like, often the doulas are working on the back and the partner is holding them in the front. So like, it's the perfect mix. Next
Yeah, I get
question.
this question a lot. So like so someone had a first baby, they are now pregnant with their second. They're wondering if they still need a doula, or maybe if they didn't have a doula the first time round, is it still good to have a doula the second time round?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, everyone is an individual, and they, like, there are people who probably are like, I don't want anyone who I don't know in this room at all, and it's for sure could be wasted, like stepping out of their comfort zone. But often, actually, I do work with a lot of second time moms, and the reason they go to doula care is because they actually just had a horrible story with their first. It was too long. They were horrified. It just didn't work out well for them. Or we get a lot of what's called VBAC, so vaginal birth after C-section. So they really want to experience a vaginal birth because it didn't work out that way for their first baby. So we do a lot of support that way as well. So having a doula doesn't matter like what baby number. I've even supported someone. They didn't have a doula for their first 3, but they had one finally for their 4th. And like, she was like, I wish I had you for the first 3. I was like, yeah. So honestly, it doesn't matter what number the baby is. If you just know that either you're someone who would want the support, or knew something wasn't particularly very hard for you and you want to see if that's different, you can use a doula. Yeah, it doesn't matter what number it is.
Every birth is also totally different. Like both of my births, they could not have been more different.
Yeah.
And my doula was so essential for like such different reasons at each birth. And so, yeah, like 100%, you should get a doula. Okay, next question is remedies or ways to combat exhaustion during pregnancy.
Oh, this one's tough, because it's like there's physical ways, and there's also like things that matter mentally, in terms of exhaustion. This is a really personal one. Part of it is like a balance of saying no, I think, too. Like, what do you, like, what's really important in the moment right now? Where are you pushing yourself and where's not? Where can you ask for help as well? Like, do you have people helping you cooking meals? Because if you're still working your full-time job, like, your body's just going through so many different more changes. and you might not feel physically as fit. And so if you're not having a meal delivery service or someone to help you some here and there at times. So it's really, there's so many layers. Like this one, I feel like
this is a
this is a discovery call, because I need to know like, what is it like? Or is it like, I just feel like my legs are really exhausted all the time? It's totally fatigue all the time. I'm having a hard time sleeping, actually, and that's why I feel tired all the time. Like there's so many layers. There's definitely what's called adaptogens. There are a couple of them that are safe in pregnancy that you can use. But yeah, sorry, I'm going to defer this to a discovery call.
And definitely, like, what a naturopath or a naturopathic doula will do is they'll ask you all the questions to say, like, is there any explanation for this fatigue other than the pregnancy? So for example, like Olivia mentioned, sleep and like how much you're extending yourself and everything else. And then if there is no explanation other than pregnancy, and it is I'd say it's like one of the most common complaints that my pregnant patients have, is that they're tired, especially in first trimester. And so when everything else has been ruled out as a cause, as Olivia mentioned, there are definitely things that you can try, adaptogens and whatever else. So yeah, but book a discovery call, whoever asks this question.
Yeah. And don't forget to ask, because I know when you do have your physical space back, you have IVs, right? So yes. IVs can be like life-saving for fatigue in a lot of these cases. But again, that's like you have to go through a medical thing to make sure IVs are safe for you. And like, that's Ashlyn's expertise. So definitely.
I feel this. This actually pregnancy has been the easiest of the three, but I was very, very sick my second pregnancy, and I was very tired the first pregnancy. So I feel whoever is asking these questions, I understand how you're feeling, and there are things that you can do. So yeah, just reach out to us and let us know, and we will figure it out for you. We can answer this last question as well too. So can you get insurance coverage for doula care? Olivia said, yes, you can. And you can also, most people have like 500 for naturopathy, but if you have 500, your baby has 500 and your partner has 500, then that's a lot of coverage there. So you definitely can. Okay. For questions, okay, I might just need to stop the screen share for just one hot moment so I can just see the questions. You know what? I'm just going to have to remember them, because if I don't answer your question properly, message me, because when we had that little snafu with the internet, now the questions are gone. So one question was about the cost of doula care. So we have different packages, both your Downtown Doula and Flourish, different packages. So based on how much support you need. So the best thing to do is just to book a discovery call. It's free. We can talk to you about all the different options that you have. And we even have like more options right now, because now we're doing virtual stuff, which maybe doesn't use as much time. So for cost, just book a discovery call. We can give you all of that information, because it is like very depending how much care you need. And oh my goodness, the other question. Okay, whoever asked me the other question, let me just see if I bring up, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna stop this screen share for 1 second, so you're not looking at me trying to figure out Zoom. Okay. Okay, I cannot for the life of me, this is my pregnancy brain, I cannot for the life of me remember what the other question was. Oh, hold on, Q&A. It's not showing up there. Okay, that's fine. If we haven't answered it, I feel like I can't remember it because we answered it. So if we haven't answered it, just throw it back in the Q&A right now. I'm just gonna see if it was in the chat. We can hear fine. Okay, who knows? All right, anyways, we'll hope that we answered it. I really apologize for my pregnancy brain. So as I said, if you've got any other questions, or if you're that person that asked a question that I can't remember what it is right now, please throw it in. And if it comes back to me later, I'll include it in the email that we're going to send out. So I want to talk a bit about our bonus offers. So we're going to be running a hypnobirthing prenatal class. Did it just come to me? It was something about epidurals. And I just remembered. The question was, do you need to still have a doula if you're planning to get an epidural, which answered many times. So yes, you 100% still want to get a doula for all of that support. Also, an epidural can be great, but with an epidural, you still have to push the baby out. So you still, or breathe the baby down, however you're getting that baby out of your body, that still needs
Yes.
to happen by you. So having the doula is so supportive, and for the postpartum care and for leading up to getting that epidural.
Yeah, and there's one caveat. I don't like to talk about it because it's generally not the case, but there are a few cases out there where epidurals don't work, either for whatever reason they only work on one side. I've had a couple clients who've had to have an epidural done 3 times or 4 times before it works. So it is a great tool, but you have to, like, don't just put everything on depending it working, because there are those weird circumstances where it doesn't. So if you do have scoliosis, or if you've had any injury to the back, there's also these cases. Or if you're like, if you do, you also have to qualify to have an epidural. So you have to have proper blood counts and things like that. So people don't sometimes forget to mention that. So definitely, because just in case you can't have one.
Olivia and I are not, like, there are some people that teach hypnobirthing or doulas that are really like anti-intervention. So we are not anti, if you want an epidural and that is your, like, that's what you really want, we're going to support whatever you want. We're definitely, like, similar to midwives, doulas are going to support what your desires are a little bit more. So for example, if you are really wanting to have a natural birth, we're going to do everything we can do to support that to happen. But there's no pressure to ever have a natural birth. You just do whatever you do you. Okay, sorry. Thank God my brain, I'm not completely lost it. So our bonus offers. So the hypnobirthing classes, so we were planning to run them obviously in person, but that's probably not going to happen. And I think what we were thinking was at some point this summer or early fall. I think at some point this summer though. And so we are offering $75 off of the hypnobirthing prenatal classes for people that attended this webinar. And I'm going to include in the email that we're sending out, I'm going to include a discount code for that. And that will be good until the end of May. And as it stands right now, because our website is not quite live yet, so you actually can't register for the course, but if you just email me and let me know, hey, I'm interested, I will make sure that you get that discount. But the website should be live hopefully by next week, so then you'll be able to register online. But that is available until the end of May, so $75 off the prenatal class, which is amazing. And then I'm going to let Olivia share your downtown doula bonuses.
Yeah. So we have something called your Downtown Doula Academy, or YDD Academy. So because we have, like, the 2 prenatal visits are actually so little time to go through all the information that everyone wants. We've just started making classes. So there's classes about everything you need to know about induction, what you need to do to avoid one, or what's the process if you have to get induced. We have the prepared partners class, we have breastfeeding information classes. So we've created a lot of classes that answer a lot of questions that people need. And so all the classes that we have right now, that if you wanted to buy all of them, it's actually $600. So we're offering what's called a discount code that gives you 50% off. So it's called Flourish, if you guys have to remember, and Ashlyn will send it in her email, right? Flourish 50 is the code, so you get 50% off. So it's a $300 savings of all the classes. So that's really exciting.
Mm-hmm. And you can just do one. So if you want to like capitalize on this, do all of the classes and save $300, you can also just do one, like whatever class you feel like you need.
Yeah, so you would put the code wherever you want it, and would give you 50% off on any of the courses.
Amazing. That's so generous. So great. Awesome. Okay. Let me just stop screen share for one quick second and make sure that there are no other questions coming in the chat. No, we are good. These are our references, but it's boring, so I'm going to leave my babies up here. There's Frankie and Finn. So we're going to send out an email shortly with a recording of the webinar, a link to book discovery calls with myself or Olivia or both of us. Olivia is the pregnancy guru at Flourish. So if you are pregnant She is the person that you want to see. My kind of niche is fertility. So I'm sort of like who you see before you go see Olivia. But I treat pregnant women as well too, and have for years. So you're always welcome to come see me. But if you're pregnant, book a discovery call with Olivia. And so you'll be able to do that. You'll get an invitation to join Flourish Females, our private Facebook group. And then you'll also get the bonus codes for both of those. So thank you so much for attending today. Sending you all of the positive baby vibes. And I do look forward to meeting all of you in the future. So thank you so much. And thank you, Olivia. And so Olivia is on the Flourish team. So we're so excited to have her. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I see a chat coming in here and I can't. Okay, I'm just going to stop the stream. Technology is not my strong suit. Okay, let me just make sure. Okay, oh, thank you guys so much. Awesome. Okay, everyone have an awesome night. Thanks again, Olivia, and happy Friday tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Good night.